Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. Thanks for stopping by. Please subscribe and come back often to get more no frills, no nonsense, valuable health information. From childhood abuse to the glorification of violence in the media, mass shooters are not born, they are made. In a world where warning signs are ignored, mental health goes untreated, and guns are within easy reach, it's no wonder we're witnessing a rising tide of violence. How far will we let this go before we take action? As of September 2024, the United States has experienced 432 mass shootings, with 527 fatalities and over 1,700 injuries. This trend continues the worrying rise in mass violence seen over the last few years, underscoring the pressing issue of gun violence in this country. When it comes to school shootings specifically, there have been 51 recorded incidents at various educational institutions by mid-2024. These include shootings on K through 12 school properties, colleges, and universities. The number of these incidents is consistent with the rising trend of school-based violence over recent years. Mass shootings have become so frequent, we have to ask the question, what makes someone become a mass shooter? Understanding the psychological, social, and environmental triggers that can lead a person down such a violent path is critical. While the exact reasons vary from case to case, several common factors frequently appear in the backgrounds of those who commit such acts. Let's see what they are. Here are some factors that contribute to creating a mass shooter. Many mass shooters have experienced a lot of trauma in childhood, including physical, emotional, or sexual abuse. These experiences can result in a deep-seated sense of anger, resentment, and a distorted sense of self-worth. Studies have shown that individuals like Adam Lanza, the perpetrator of the Sandy Hook massacre, had a troubled childhood marked by mental health struggles and isolation. He repeatedly experienced family dysfunction and rejection, which fueled his downward spiral. Mental health issues. While not all individuals with mental health problems turn to violence, untreated or poorly managed mental illness can play a significant role in the development of a mass shooter. Severe depression, schizophrenia, and personality disorders like borderline or antisocial personality disorder are often present in mass shooters. James Holmes, the Aurora, Colorado shooter, was diagnosed with schizophrenia, which contributed to his growing delusions and ultimate violent outbursts. His untreated mental health issues played a key role in his actions. Social isolation. Many mass shooters feel alienated from society. They often have few or no friends and struggle with feelings of rejection, loneliness, and being misunderstood. This isolation can breed resentment, anger, and a sense of hopelessness. Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold, the Columbine shooters, were reportedly isolated from their peers, feeling excluded and bullied, which contributed to their anger and desire for revenge against those they felt had wronged them. Constant exposure to violent media, including video games, movies, or extremist ideologies online, can desensitize individuals to violence and make them more prone to seeing it as a valid way to solve their problems. Anders Breivik, the Norwegian mass shooter, was deeply influenced by far-right ideologies and online forums that glorified violence as a means to protect his nation. His manifesto and actions were a product of being immersed in radical, violent thinking. The availability of firearms increases the likelihood that someone contemplating violence will follow through. Access to guns provide the means to turn violent fantasies into reality. Many mass shooters, such as the perpetrators of the Parkland, Florida shooting, obtained firearms legally, even though they exhibited warning signs that they posed a danger to others. Narcissistic and entitlement complex. Mass shooters often exhibit traits of narcissism, believing they are owed something by society or that they deserve more than what they have. When reality doesn't meet their expectations, they may lash out violently. Elliot Rodger, the Isla Vista shooter, was deeply narcissistic and believed that women owed him attention and affection. When he didn't receive what he felt was his due, he embarked on a killing spree to punish those he felt were responsible for his misery. Society plays a critical role in the development of individuals who turn to mass violence. Here are some ways our society has contributed to the creation of mass shooters. Besides media's glorification of violence, as mentioned earlier, there has been a failure of social institutions. In many cases, mass shooters have slipped through the cracks of mental health systems, schools, or law enforcement. Warning signs were ignored, or there was not enough intervention, allowing individuals to get worse unchecked. Then you have cultural emphasis on masculinity. In some cultures, there is an expectation that men should be powerful, assertive, and in control. When men feel emasculated or powerless, some may react violently to reclaim their sense of control. Poverty and economic disparities and social frustrations also play a part. People who feel left behind by society, economically or socially, may develop resentment. They may feel that society has failed them and use violence as a form of payback for their perceived grievances. Families, too, can play a significant role in shaping a potential mass shooter. Many mass shooters come from backgrounds of abuse, neglect, or extreme dysfunction. They're often emotionally abused. These unstable environments can plant the seeds for future violent behavior. Children who grow up in households where emotional or physical abuse is prevalent are more likely to commit violent acts later in life. A history of neglect, abuse, or rejection within the family unit can breed deep emotional wounds that show as violent tendencies later in life. Lack of support and constant criticism can destroy a child's self-esteem and sense of belonging. Children raised in environments where aggression and violence are normalized, either in the form of domestic violence or harsh authoritarian parenting, may grow up believing that violence is a legitimate way to solve problems. The creation of a mass shooter is not the result of any single factor. Instead, it's a toxic combination of individual vulnerabilities, societal influences, family dysfunction, and unchecked access to deadly weapons. Addressing these issues requires a multifaceted approach that involves not only better mental health care and social support systems, but also a re-evaluation of how we as a society glorify violence and define success. Families, schools, and communities must work together to identify and intervene early in the lives of those who may be at risk of turning to violence, potentially preventing future tragedies. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel and return to get more valuable, no frills, no nonsense health information. Until next time, be safe, be well, and be prosperous.